Tropical development still on the table for our area next week. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. Fantastic to see you on a Saturday. Hope things are doing well. Coming up in this video, I'll have the latest information on our tropical wave, still with potential development as it gets into our area late next week. I've got all the newest information for the Hurricane Center. We'll take a look at all the model data as well. Obviously, we're going to be talking about what's happening in our area right now, and then a look ahead to the forecast for rain in your area over the next several days. So, of course, as we get this video started, I'd love to hear from you guys. Drop it in the comments section below where you're viewing from, what the weather has been like. Again, we'll get much deeper into the weeds with what's going on with this yellow area, but the first thing I want to do is talk about what's happening across our area on this Saturday. So the first thing I'm going to do is throw on the wind gusts, because we continue to have some very strong winds in some areas. Some of that is just some very brisk easterly trade winds with some Saharan dust in portions of the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, but other areas, these are showers and storms that are getting cranked up. So let's get started with our friends in Jamaica. And the first thing I want to say to my friends in Jamaica is thank you so much for dropping in the comments section below late last night all of the weather that you guys saw, that squall line that came through from east to west with a lot of rowdy activity. And again, some of you, especially the Kingston area, said, Rusty, the winds last night were stronger than what we had in Hurricane Beryl. So I appreciate you guys helping me out and our weather community, letting us know in real time what was happening. Now, for today, thunderstorms have developed a little bit earlier. You can see that 36-mile-an-hour wind there in Montego Bay. At this point in time, things have calmed down just a little bit, but additional showers and storms are likely later on this Saturday afternoon and into the evening. When I zoom out just a little bit more, you can see we still have a big pool of moisture here just south and west of the island. And you also notice, again, we have this broad spin across the Northwest Caribbean that even gets into the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. I mentioned this yesterday. This could help to flare up some of those very heavy showers and storms again for tonight. It doesn't mean that we're going to get another squall line through Jamaica, but the opportunity for at least some showers and storms will go along with it. The winds were really the big story out of yesterday, and I hope everything went well. Again, appreciate you letting me know about it. Drop in the comment section below how you guys fared out of that. We're still dry in the Cayman Islands at this hour. Showers and storms continue to develop again in that localized fashion across Cuba. Some very hefty rain and lightning. You can see that live count here at Meteo Mundo. We've had a couple of showers and storms trying to skirt the Turks and the Caicos and the southeast side of the Bahamas on this Saturday. Generally speaking, we've had to get up to places like Exuma and Long Island to see those storms become a little bit more prolific. Cat Island, Rum Cay, San Salvador, all in that mix. These are developing and kind of skirting off to the east and to the southeast at this point in time. We've had some spottier rain redeveloping with a few good thunderstorms in the Abaco area towards Eleuthera. Let's take a look at the live radar data out of this area. I'll drop off the satellite data for right now. So again, as I've mentioned in yesterday's video, the storms of the Bahamas the next couple of days are going to be very isolated or localized, but where they develop, slow moving. Heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning and gusty winds. Abaco, Marsh Harbor area really covered up for today, probably running the boaters in a little bit earlier than they wanted to. Scattered showers and a few lightning strikes there in Grand Bahama. Walker's Key, Bimini has looked okay for today. Same thing for Andros and New Providence. We've had some storms there near Governor's Harbor and Eleuthera. You can see again a little bit earlier in the afternoon these storms popping on right there, right across the island, as a matter of fact, and then again back down towards Cat Island where we have a little bit more prolific lightning. So it's been a relatively active day through the Bahamas, still localized more than anything else, but we've had some decent showers and storms. Now let's swing on over to our friends in the Hispaniola area, the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And again, you'll see that yellow area come on. It's just a preset for that tropical development area. We'll get more into that, as I mentioned, in just a minute. So we've had decent thunderstorms storms developing through portions of this area. Let me bring back on the surface temperatures. First of all, they'll pop on again, nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit there in Port-au-Prince for today. That is upper 30s in Celsius. Pretty darn hot day there. You can see the showers and storms developing. That's a 33-mile-an-hour wind gust. So it's still localized, mainly on the Haitian side, and we've had a few showers here in the Dominican Republic side. Generally speaking, friends, the farther east that we go, the Saharan dust is going to be a bigger factor. When I put this water vapor imagery on, you can clearly see that. Green is the moisture-laden air. The red is the drier air, and look how that has really enveloped Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and all of the Lesser Antilles. So you want to talk about a basically high and dry forecast. Still some strong winds being kicked up. San Juan winds 25. But let's also take a look at that feels like temperature, because for this area now, we're talking about the heat being a big story. And again, some numbers around 105 as we get 105 Fahrenheit. So we're talking about, low 40s in Celsius. You get to 110, you're at 43.3. So pretty darn hot day with the haze. Same thing for Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Bartholomew, 105, Anguilla up to 100. And again, isolated showers at best. But generally speaking, it's a dry forecast here. This is the visible satellite imagery. And you want to talk about just a few clouds in the sky. Look at Dominica, had a 107 feels like temperature. If you get a passing shower, consider yourselves quite lucky. There's not going to be a lot on the board here over the next couple of days. And again, pretty hot conditions to go along with the dust as well. Nueva Esparta's feels like temperature well over 100. We had another dry day in the ABC Islands for today. It's been decent lately. We've had a few showers here. Curacao up to 108 as it feels like temperature. Aruba coming in at least at 105. Now again, still some storms developing in portions of Central America and the Yucatan. A lot of this has been inland for today, so San Ignacio with an opportunity for a shower, but even farther off towards the west. We've been still mainly dry in Cancun and Cozumel. More storms on the northwest sides of the Yucatan, Merida on over towards Campeche, and then scattered storms continue to develop in Honduras and especially the coastal areas of Honduras back down towards Nicaragua, the southwest Caribbean in general. Again, extremely wet, heavy storms, very widespread, still localized heavy rainfall and flooding issues in these areas. And again, if you live in this zone, let me know. It's going to be another very active day from San Pedro Sula all the way back down towards Panama City. So this is what the general area looks like at this point in time. Bermuda is still dry, but they'll get into some rain a little bit later. Now, obviously, we're going to get a lot into what's going to be happening with this wave. Still, again, just trying to get itself organized. It's still fighting a lot of Saharan dust as well. So does it look extremely impressive right now on our enhanced satellite imagery? Absolutely not. But the development chance is 30%. And you can see that track. And we're going to talk first about the rain that's going to be happening over the next 5 days, and then we'll dive deeper into late next week with the potential wrap-up of that system. So as we get started with that portion of the video, again, thanks guys for liking this video, supporting me here at Meteo Mundo. I appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed and you're looking for your latest forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas and these tropical updates as well, click that subscribe button right now. Our friends at Meteo Mundo know that when there's some really active weather, I go live on the channel, covering Barrel live over the Windward Islands and Jamaica and even Texas. So again, if this system wraps up, I'll be back on live sometime next week. And again, thank you for sharing this with your family and friends. First thing I want to talk about is the Saharan dust. It's a big factor right now. Big plume of it over the Lesser Antilles, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, moving off towards the west. So through early and mid next week, that plume is going to work its way all the way into the western Gulf of Mexico. So that obviously is limiting any tropical development. But the next plume behind it is already weaker and is dispersing faster. So you notice the next kind of plume of moisture, next plume of dust trying to get in here just isn't as concentrated. And this is why underneath it and just south of it, there's the opportunity that that tropical wave might be able to get its own moisture field wrapped up and trying to develop here. But we're beginning to see the signs that the intense plumes of dust coming off the West African coast are dispersing and overall won't be as much of a factor as we roll into early August. So let's get into the forecast here. We're going to take a look at the couple of models here to begin with. I'm going to crank up the GFS model to begin with first. And again, I'll back it back down to about 5 days, and we'll take a look at that to begin with. So let me just bring that up. And again, we'll look at the NAM model as well. Also look at the winds. Let me drop off that yellow zone. So now, the GFS, you're going to still not see very impressive activity out of this wave over the next 5 days, okay? Even the European model, which has been more robust with development, really doesn't have this thing wrapping up until at least day 5. Now, we will certainly see the wave impact our area, Lesser Antilles, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, with heavy rain, storms, and gusty winds, all right? But as far as actually wrapping up into a tropical system, that is unlikely until it moves farther off towards the west. But as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday for Anguilla and Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, Barbados, all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago, we're going to really freshen up the winds. We're going to see some quick, heavy downpours, probably some lightning, surf and sea conditions being kicked up with this. This is a robust tropical wave coming through, okay? And then it's just all about, as it gets away from that dust, gets into more moisture-laden air, we still have high sea surface temperatures, we still have, a very little wind shear. Can it begin to wrap up as it moves near Puerto Rico and Hispaniola? Now, after this area right here is where the models really begin to diverge, both in intensity and track. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up. But this first part is, I want to talk about the rain, and just to show you again that we'll stay mainly dry in these areas over the next couple of days. The wave will begin to bring in some scattered showers and storms in this area starting Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, for our friends in the northwest side of the Caribbean, again, high rain chances, relatively speaking, the next couple of days in Jamaica. Again, I'm going to switch over to the NAM model, just a little bit better here overall lately as far as these waves go. So let's bring up the NAM, and then I'll put that back into motion. So again, we still have just a ton of moisture overall here in the western side of the Caribbean. So heavy downpours, localized, storms with some good gusty winds, certainly still in the forecast. And you can see that big swath of rain there. As a matter of fact, again, today's the 27th. So for Jamaica, tomorrow and into Monday, so late tomorrow night, Monday, maybe even more heavy rain coming back in as well. Relatively active pattern here, guys, for the western sides, okay? And that's going to include portions of Central America, especially back down towards Panama, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua. But for the short term, this is going to spiral all the way up towards Belize. So Belize City and Roatan and San Pedro Sula, all with good rain chances the remainder of the weekend and into Monday. I mentioned it several times. The moisture is just not as good quality up here towards the northern side of the Yucatan. So Cancun and Cozumel really has been cut off from some of the heavier rain from areas to Belize and Guatemala off towards the south. Cuba should stay with healthy localized rain chances here. Our friends in Hispaniola, again, going to start to improve our rain chances as we get into late tomorrow, but especially Monday and then Tuesday, Wednesday with that wave coming in. And I think even the NAM is underdoing some of that. But you notice how fast everything is moving. This wave is going to have some relatively good forward speed, at least initially for us here. So we're going to get some wind-driven showers and storms rolling across the greater Antilles early to midweek. Scattered showers will be in the forecast for the central and the southeast Bahamas and into the Turks and the Caicos. And I've mentioned it also in yesterday's video where we're actually going to have some moisture dripping to the south from the north here for places like Walker's Key, Grand Bahama, on over towards Abaco and Bimini, maybe as far south as Andros, New Providence, and Eleuthera as we get into late tomorrow, but especially on Monday. So that opportunity will be there for a few showers there. And then that system swings over towards Bermuda and gives them a higher rain chance to go along with it. Okay, so that is kind of the overall view of the rain over the next several days. Now, the next thing I want to do actually here is we'll take a look at the models first. Again, this area, 30% chance of development from the hurricane center, but it's all a little bit different. First of all, no models are actually developing anything east of the Leeward Islands and the Lesser Antilles in general, okay? So even though the area in yellow begins well east of Barbados, up towards Anguilla and Antigua and Barbuda, I don't expect there to be an actually organized system. It's going to be a tropical wave, disorganized showers and storms. Even the models, most of them don't have this developing over Puerto Rico. It's kind of Hispaniola and then to the west. But there's a big difference again in the models. So let's start off with the European model. This is the model that has been the strongest signal for tropical development in this area late in the week. This is the newest run as of this Saturday afternoon. Now, again, this is going to be the deterministic. We'll look at the ensembles coming up. So although we don't want to focus on one area, even out of this deterministic, just to show you that it is still holding on to a solution of a relatively strong storm. This particular model run has it, again, trying to develop not until the central or the northwest Bahamas, and then actually getting stronger as it moves up the United States East Coast. So again, no actual wrap up here until very far into the Bahamas, and then as it pulls away, okay? But the 7 of the last 9 full model runs of the European, that's the 0Z and the 12Z, have had a signal for tropical development out of this tropical wave. So it's not just one outlier now as far as one model run or even 2 model runs. The European model has really held on to a solution of a tropical system out of this wave. The GFS model has flipped back and forth, and right now it's on the flop, okay? Because this is the same time frame, same exact graphic, if you will, but just the GFS model. And there was really nothing. We can see that area in blue, which is the pressure anomaly trying to develop. And that weaker system goes into the Northwest Caribbean, over the Yucatan, and into the Southwest Gulf of Mexico. Now, over the last several model runs, the GFS has been all over the place with a very strong storm into the northwest side of the Gulf of Mexico, or very weak systems. One model run late last night had it moving up the west coast of Florida. This is what we should expect with a system that hasn't even developed yet. It is such a blessing and a curse to have all this model data and yet not even have a system that is even organized, okay? And this is to be expected. But again, the European model is still the outlier in consistency when it comes to developing a tropical system. Now, this is a better idea of things because this is the ensemble. Again, there's 51 ensemble members, European GFS models. So the more that we see here, the more of those ensemble members are picking up on development. This is the European model. Now, again, they are relatively clustered east of Florida, through the Bahamas, or even farther off towards the east. Just a couple of them are slightly farther north and west. This is because it's a stronger storm, and typically speaking, the opportunity for a little bit quicker recurve. Now, again, not all of them are very strong. There are some weak ensemble members here, and not all of them are showing tropical development, but you get the idea. You know, one thing that I'm going to look at here when we're 5 and 6 days out is model run-to-run consistency and how tightly clustered some of these ensemble products are. Okay, obviously some of the farther east ones wouldn't be a horrible situation for us if those come to fruition, because again, we're still not developing this until it gets well into the Bahamas and then up to the north and to the east. So as you would expect, the GFS model is completely different. We have one lone ensemble member drifting a pretty weak storm right now over Florida. So again, the deterministic pulls not even a closed low over the northwest side of the Caribbean. And then we have one of the members saying, hey, we might have a really weak system again drifting over the Bahamas and into the southwest side of Florida. This is the cards that we are dealt right now on this Saturday. So the European model and the GFS model are still kind of yin and yang, fairly far off from each other. So here's what I would say in general. Tropical development certainly is still possible next week. We cannot discount the European model, especially as consistent as it's been over the last 9 model runs. It is certainly too early to tell the track, the strength, and the impacts. And again, the GFS model has had signals of stronger storms, but right now in the latest model run, it doesn't. So it's always a good time to go over your hurricane preps, okay? When we have these storms that are maybe 5-7 days out, this is messaging I like to get out. It's just a nice reminder. By the way, not going to say you're going to be impacted by this next storm, but just make sure you go over those hurricane preps because you are prepared for the next one when it does come your way. In the simple situation as you and I, we're going to continue to monitor what's going to be happening. Friends, I appreciate you. You can find us across all of social media. It's Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. If you want to send me a picture or video, myMediaMundo@gmail.com. Again, thank you so much for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing. If you have a specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. You know, I'm going to continue to monitor the daily forecast for you and obviously have the latest with that tropical disturbance as well. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow right here at Meteo Mundo.